Let me give you some quick keys or points regarding how to lead an effective Bible discussion. One of the things that you need to understand is, first of all, you must always open the discussion with prayer. If you're going to lead a discussion like this, I believe it's very important to seek God and God in bringing the illumination of the truths to the hearts of people. So open up with prayer. You don't have to do all the praying. You can have someone else pray in the group, but please just open up your discussion time in prayer. Use the Bible discussion format. You see, the goal here is for participants to have self-discovery. If you look at this chart that's up on your screen right now, you'll see that there is a style which is called lecture, and this is what happens on Sunday morning when the pastor preaches to the congregation. The direction of communication is always one directional. There's a little bit of response by the congregation, but not a lot. There's the classroom teacher model where the teacher is basically lecturing, but asking a few questions and getting response from the audience. And then there's the discussion model. And really what we like to see with the discussion is that there's interaction between all the members of the group, not just the group leader to the members, but that it's an open discussion between people. Now, why is this important? There's a little chart on your screen also talking about teaching methods. And one of the things that you'll see with the teaching methods is that lecture is about 5% effective in retaining information that is put out. Reading is about 10%, and this is a study that was done by a business. Audio visuals adds a little bit more. Demonstration adds some. But discussion groups, about 50% is the effectiveness of the retention of information that's gleaned from the discussion. And so when people discuss things together, they tend to remember these things better. Now, the other thing is practice by doing. We're going to talk about that again, but this is the application. This is get out there and do something with it. And that will reinforce the teaching that, or the instruction or the information that they've received from the Bible discussion. Then teaching others, teachers, you'll retain more by learning as you're teaching than through any other means. And so just remember, we want to get a Bible discussion format used, and the goal is for all participants to experience some self-discovery, to have that aha moment. They say, hey, I got it, I got something. And they've inputted this to the group, and by doing that, they'll remember it better. Next, ask open-ended questions. Sometimes we ask closed-ended questions. Now, an open-ended question goes like this. It's, why was it right for Paul to do this? Or in this verse, why was it right for Paul to say this? When you ask the question why, it provokes interest and it provokes a conversation. But a closed-ended question goes more like this. Was it right for Paul to do this? And it just is, you'll receive a yes or no answer. And that'll be the end of the discussion. Now, often you'll get a yes or no answer from somebody, and you'll say, well, why is that? Why do you feel that way? Or why do we feel that way about this passage? We should ask questions which promote discussion rather than just yes or no answers. Remember the importance of application. I already talked about this, but it's very important that people go away from there saying, what am I supposed to do with the truths that I've learned from the Bible today? If they don't leave there with an idea of what they're supposed to do, then it's kind of a pointless experiment, isn't it? If they don't learn something and say, I'm supposed to do something with this that changes my life, that changes the way I function with God, with one another, the way I function at work, or the way I function at the store, or whatever, if we don't go away from this particular lesson with some kind of an application, we've missed the point. Seek to have all people participate. Again, we want everyone to engage in the discussion. And this is very difficult because some people are going to be more talkative than others, and others are going to be very quiet by nature. And so somehow you have to draw everybody into the discussion. And we'll talk about techniques for doing this in another segment of this training. Do not be afraid of silence. In other words, give people a chance to think and respond. All too often, leaders get uncomfortable with silence. We don't like dead air. We don't like it if nothing's happening. If I just stopped right now for 10 seconds and did not say a thing, you get very uncomfortable with this training. Let's just try it. Ten seconds can seem like an eternity when you're leading a discussion, but it is an important time. And the natural tendency of the group leader is to go in and answer the question that he's just asked. But that does what? That curtails the self-discovery issue, the thing that we're really seeking. So the best bet is just to wait it out. And you might ask the question in a different way, might rephrase the question. You might say, well, let me ask it this way. Or you might say, does anybody have any thoughts on this particular question or any questions about the question? But don't answer the question yourself. Don't be afraid of silence. Give people a chance to think and respond. Next, be honest. If the group has a question for you and no one really in the group can answer it, and you do not know the answer to the question, do not bluff or guess. They're going to see right through that. They're going to see that you don't know the answer and you're not being honest with them. Tell them this. Tell them, I'll research and return next week with an answer because I really don't know. And that's really showing something interesting because it's showing transparency. It's showing that we're all in this journey together. And so if the group has a question and you don't know the answer, don't bluff it or guess at the answer to the question. Research and return the following week. Establish discussion ground rules. What I mean by this is your group should have done this in the very first meeting to establish some ground rules regarding the Bible discussion. First of all, give everybody an opportunity to speak. That's one of the rules that you should have established right in the beginning, that in our discussion times, we want everyone to have an opportunity and no one should mastermind the whole discussion. No one should interrupt another while they're speaking. No one should ever ridicule the comments made by another in the group. No one should gossip regarding anything someone said in the group. In other words, what is said in the group stays in the group. There should be no heated arguments regarding personal opinions allowed. Stop the heated arguments. I was in a group one time where the group got into a heated argument and some people left the group because of one person who just could not hold his emotions back. Make sure you emphasize the fact that we're not going to get into emotional discussions, and encourage the group to avoid rabbit trails. These are off-topic discussions. And when they get in there, we'll teach you in another session how to deal with those who take you off onto a rabbit trail. Know your participants. In your groups, you're going to find dominant talkers, silent attenders, rabbit chasers, superficial injectors, and professor know-it-alls. And there are ways to deal with each and every one of these particular types of people that will be in the group. It's very important that you know how to deal with these so that you can get everybody engaged in the discussion. We want you to properly deal with difficulties. It's important that you understand how to deal with difficult questions and problems that will come up within the Bible discussion. And we'll again talk about this in just another session. Last, we want you to close with a prayer for grace in applying the big truth learned in the Bible discussion period. It's very important that we ask for God's grace because we can't do anything apart from it, and we'll never be able to apply the truths of Scripture apart from the ministry of His Spirit working in us by His grace. Some key points to leading the Bible discussion.